You didn't really think that was the end of CRESTS Digivolutions, did you? What is up, digital companions? My name is Karn EX and welcome back to Season 2. Yeah, after we successfully gave crest evolution lines using existing Digimon to the Digimon Adventure partners, I knew it was the turn of Digimon Adventure 02. Of course, as a refresher, we don't actually know that the crest would have any influence on the elements and attributes of the Digimon when they evolve, but it's just a bit of a fun thing to do, a bit of a what if to see what the traits of the crests, and if we can't do anything from the crests, the armored Digi-Eggs might do to influence the Digimon's evolution. And part of me was always a little bit gutted that in Digimon Adventure 02, the successor kids didn't get to use the actual crests to Digivolve. Now I get why. The older kids sacrificed their crest, the crests were kind of re-manifested into the armored Digi-Eggs, so I just think it would have been cool to see Davis, Yoli, and Cody get crests, and TK and Kari to retrieve their crest, and even Ken could have used the crest of kindness. So that's what I'm doing today. I'm looking at these evolutions and trying to really create a separation between an armored Digivolution and a crest Digivolution for these Digimon. I don't want to just be like armored Digivolution 2.0. I want to take the champions and Digivolve them using the crests of their predecessor. So we begin with Aquilamon using the Crest of Love. The Crest of Love has traits of birds, of course, Birdramon becoming Garudamon and eventually Phoenixmon, elements of, I guess you could say, Native American influence, and indeed fire, although fire is already existing in Birdramon. Perhaps a holy element could be implied. And yeah, as we've talked about before and have seen in other Digimon media, Garudamon is honestly a fantastic Aquilamon evolution, arguably a better evolution visually for Aquilamon than Birdramon. And to be honest, I don't mind the reuse because it's directly using Sora's crest. But if you did want to avoid that, I know what some of you in the comments are going to say, but really we are a little bit limited for choice visually. An alternative could be Butenmon. In some ways this makes sense to me because through use of the armored Digi-Egg, I feel like Hawkmon and Aquilamon would take on elements of both armored Digi-Eggs they used, and so Butenmon does feel like a little bit of a mix of Shurimon and Halsamon. However, I'm not really focusing on that element so much and more just thinking of something that feels like a parallel to Garudamon and is an ultimate or perfect level. Its evolution would then be teed up obviously to become Chronomon Holy Mode. This to me also makes a ton of sense. It is the Butenmon evolution that's kind of the holy one, obviously. And while Phoenixmon is a holy beast type and Chronomon Holy Mode hasn't been assigned a type, I do feel like there's a very similar wheelhouse between the two. The other choice is Zuchaomon, and that makes a lot of sense to me. In fact, I could see all the sovereigns being used here as the 02 partners have such a deep connection to the sovereign, and as I've talked about before, there's a lot of weird parallels between the sovereign and the 02 partners. Raidramon looks a lot like a Zulongmon, Zuchaomon and Hawkmon have got elements in common, Baihumon and Gatomon, Ibonumon, exists, Armadillomon I guess, and Fanglongmon being golden is reminiscent of Magnamon and Rapidmon armor. Anyway, much easier for the Crest of Sincerity, I want to keep some bird-like elements and combine it with grass. So having Aquilamon become Teropiamon is a no-brainer to me. It is riding that line between bird and dragon, but as we talked about before, birds basically are dinosaurs, and dinosaurs and dragons are the same thing in Japan, Kyoryu. Plus, let's not forget, the Crest of Love was used to Digivolve Dramon. So yeah, Ceresmon or Ceresmon Medium I think are our best picks for the Mega. Yes, I've used it a couple of times in Adventure, but there is inevitably going to be crossover here. Over to Ankylomon, and beginning with the Crest of Reliability, this provided some really fun options. Obviously Armadillomon becoming an armored submarine with the Digi-Egg of Reliability is fun, but I wanted to take it somewhere different and really keep the dinosaur elements of Ankylomon wherever possible. And an evolution I wanted to use for Ankylomon just as a normal evolution before is Brachiomon, and I think this actually does work as a specifically reliability evolution, as Brachiomon has a lot of water-related attacks, and in fact its type is a plesiosaur. Paleontology people in the comments, let me know if this makes sense. Brachiosaurs, plesiosaurs, what's the connection there? And Brachiomon has two very prominent water-based attacks, Brachio Bubble and Aqua Shatter, so its connection to water Digimon is already cemented, especially with it being a plesiosaur type. Yeah, it makes sense that it's digivolved into Plesiomon at least 3 times across the franchise. It is even digivolved from Ankylomon in things like Digimon New Century. As for Omega, I think Aegistramon is an absolute no-brainer. It is said to be a fusion of Plesiomon with Seadramon species data, so there's literally plesiosaur elements inside Aegistramon already, and of course its type is Cyborg and Aquatic. It also has a bunch of water-based attacks, Power Water, Terra Hydro Breath, etc. And I think despite it not being an armored Digivolution, I do kind of like that it being more vehicular is a little bit of a nod to Submarimon, while its Plesiomon side is more of a nod to a potential evolution evolution for Joe's Gomamon. This is also, though, where we could insert a Bonwumon if we wanted to keep using sovereigns here, as it has a similar kind of old man mouth vibe as Brachiomon. Admittedly, Brachiomon's is more like it's stitched together, but still I think it's similar. And a Bonwumon is the protector of the North and wielder of phantasmagorical water. The North, Ice, Northman, Norse, Vikemon, combining with water, Plesiomon, and even indeed Submarimon. There's something there, I think. Moving over to the Crest of Knowledge, we have a really recently revealed Digimon, Proganomon, and I think that's a fantastic evolution for the Crest of Knowledge from Ankylomon. Obviously, it resembles Digimon. Again, I don't want this to be armored Digivolutions necessarily, but having that kind of like turtle-like appearance is similar, I think, to Ankylomon and Ankylomon's whole hardened skin vibe it's got going on. It's not a million miles away from Proganomon itself. While Proganomon isn't a dinosaur, it certainly evokes dinosaurs visually. And indeed, its Digimon reference book listing even makes reference to the fact that when it gets erased, its shell remains like a fossil, you know, like a dinosaur fossil. Then the Mega could be Breakdramon. I really wished I could form more bug-like connections here, but I just didn't think anything particularly worked. And Breakdramon is a Dramon type, and again, we have that dinosaur dragon connection in Japan. I don't know, I think there's something I could have done with the bugs, but just nothing really worked for me, as well as that connection more to Digimon. And you know, there is still that hard carapace that bugs and these Digimon share. However, if you want to bring it back to the turtle-like element that Proganomon introduces, this would also be a good slot to put a Bonwumon into, as a Bonwumon is very turtle-like too. I don't know, let me know your thoughts about specifically a bug evolution line for Ankylomon here. This is probably the one that I'm least happy with, but also the one that I think makes most sense in some ways. Alright, time for Davis's partner, ExVeemon, who of course would get the Crest of Courage and Friendship. Beginning with the Crest of Courage, I actually want to talk about the Mega first. Initially, my brain said we have to use Allforce Veedramon here. It's the Mega partner of the Taichi from V-Tamer, and Davis is using the crest of the Taichi from Digimon Adventure canon. Honestly, despite the fact that of course Allforce would be great here, it is a Veemon or Veedramon family evolution, I actually think I like Victory Greymon better, as it's more evocative of the Crest of Courage, and its name is literally Victory Greymon. V for victory, you know? I think it still works really great, and when you look at ExVeemon and Victory Greymon side by side, there are some notable elements they share in common. As for a pre-evolution, well, if we did go with Allforce Veedramon, yeah, Aero Veedramon is fine, but maybe to bridge the gap between the Veemon family and the Greymon family with Victory Greymon, the ultimate could be something like Megadramon, which has a visual similarity to Metal Greymon, who, let's not forget, is the Digimon that the Crest of Courage creates in the adventure continuity, and it would keep the more prominent wings that ExVeemon has as a focus. And yeah, Metal Greymon has wings too, but I think these would be much more grandiose wings, as ExVeemon already has a pair. We could also, however, focus in on just the metal, like with Metal Greymon, who originally used this crest, and bridge the gap with Metal Tyrannomon. I think that's fine too. Hell, you could use Rust Tyrannomon as the Mega if you wanted to, but I think personally I'm sliding with ExVeemon Crest of Courage to Megadramon, and then Megadramon to Victory Greymon. As for the Crest of Friendship, I struggled a lot with this. Now, Majiramon is an ultimate level Digimon with a form resembling a dragon. As its Digimon reference book listing states, it is a follower of the four holy beasts, or the Sovereign, and it's a dragon, so it kind of fulfills that prophecy of Veemon becoming Raydramon with a Digi-Egg of Friendship. Now ExVeemon becomes Majiramon, a dragon. I don't know though. Majiramon would probably be the best gap between ExVeemon and Azulongmon if we were using that as the Mega for the Crest of Friendship, which I think makes the most sense if we are going to use it. Another one we could use though is Tylinmon to bridge this gap. It's more of a bestial Digimon, evoking Digimon like Garurumon, Weregarurumon, and Metal Garurumon, which are the originators of this crest, and it appears to have some sort of lightning or electricity acting as a sort of mustache, which would bridge the gap quite nicely to Azulongmon. That's personally what I want to do here, although you could honestly make the argument that Baihumon could be the Mega here, given we're using the Crest of Friendship and the Garurumon family is so much more bestial. But let's be real, we're going to use Azulongmon because ExVeemon's kind of a dragon anyway. Also, now that Atmon are in the card game and we have confirmation that Gatchmon could Digivolve from level 2 Digimon and into level 4 regular Digimon, not Atmon. No, that doesn't mean that Atmon are Digimon now. I'm not going to say that. It does mean that the barriers between the two are a little bit more loose these days. The Atmon Weatherdramon would be a fantastic gap between ExVeemon and Azulongmon. It's like it's almost made for that purpose. However, it is a super grade Atmon, and given the fact that Gatchmon has been assigned a level 3 in the card game, that indicates to me that yeah, standard grades are going to be like rookie power, super grades are going to be equivalent to champion power. Ugh, man, I wish I could use Weatherdramon here. However, if we're looking more at the traits of Garurumon, specifically Weregarurumon and Metal Garurumon, ice, wolves, fur, brawlers, metal, the moon, we could maybe go Solugamon and Fenrilugamon. They are blue like Veemon's body, and while yes, Solugamon has fire more reminiscent of the crest of courage, that could be a little bit of influence from the time that Veemon spent as Flamedramon, and also, you know, the fact that Garurumon has blue fox fire. Plus the way the fire bursts out from the back is kind of evocative of the wings of ExVeemon. This line does lose the dragon element, I will totally admit, so it's far from perfect, but it's kind of fun, you know? Also, I just want to give a shout out to Footmon, whose attacks are Lightning Foot and Lightning Overhead, which of course combines the lightning of at least the Digi-Egg of friendship with the fact that Davis is a soccer player, and then maybe you could use Achelismon as the Mega, I don't know. They've got a connection with feet and heels. But Davis technically does have one more armor Digi-Egg, doesn't he? The Digi-Egg of Miracles. We've never seen a crest of the golden armor Digi-Eggs be used ever, so this is really just hypothetical, but I think it would be fun if they had like golden Digizoid evolutions. So for me, I think an obvious choice would be Doramon as the evolution of ExVeemon with the crest of Miracles, and then Durandamon, yeah, great, or throwing it back to that connection to the Greymon family that Veemon Davis have, the Mega could be Zeke Greymon, or, you know, Fang Longmon, yeah, pretty obvious. Okay, so I didn't touch on this in the opening, but of course Gatomon and Patron / Angemon already have crest evolutions. They already did that back in the day. So what a surprise! Angemon becomes Magna Angemon and Seraphimon, and Gatomon becomes Angewomon and Magnadramon. I could see a world in 02 where things are slightly different, you know, maybe Magna Angemon becomes Dominimon, or Angewomon becomes Ophanimon actually in the original adventure continuity for once, not just fall down mode, but I think generally they would remain the same. But the video's not over. You see that runtime, because we've got Ken and we've got Willis. Yes, both technically in possession at one time or another, whether it's in the show, the movies, or side media, their own armor Digi-Eggs, and indeed, in Ken's case, his own crest. This is tough. We've never actually seen the Digi-Egg of Kindness used in Digimon Adventure 02 anime, but we do know what its forms would take thanks to side media, toys, etc. But we also have to consider that we do have actual contenders for Stingmon evolutions thanks to things like the card game and V-Pets. And I think, honestly, Dual Beamon actually does work. It's the near de facto non-DNA Digivolve Stingmon evolution. And it does actually have red elements, including that pinkish red spear, which connects to the idea that the Digi-Egg of Kindness armor Digivolutions tend to all be themed around this rosebud design. Although that tends to manifest as like red gloves for some reason, but still there is that red pinkish element to Dual Beamon, so I think it works. Which means that, yeah, Bancho Stingmon that we've seen a lot of times is used in things like the card game in reference to Ken Stingmon. Makes perfect sense, and it's literally red. Red and pink, synonymous colors. Red and white equals pink, you know, and it is a Stingmon Mega. However, I do want to suggest some alternatives just because it is a Bancho, and typically Bancho are kind of their own thing. Now, first of all, I think Lord Nightmon would be fantastic. It's pink, it's knightly, it would be a fantastic counterpart to the fact that Ken's childhood friend Rio, eventually in Digimon Tamers, would get a Justimon. Justimon and Lord Nightmon side by side, really cool vibes. But another one that I think is a bit of an outlier and works really well is Bloom Lordmon. Taking that kind of flower theme of the crest and indeed its resultant Digi-Egg and combining it with a similar lordly vibe that I do get from Stingmon, and like with Lord Nightmon, that knightly heroic vibe that matches Justimon too. I think that's really fantastic and shows that kind of flower blooming, getting over the past trauma. It works quite well. But Bancho Stingmon or Bloom Lordmon are my bets. And just to say it, yeah, Baihumon doesn't work here. I would probably give Baihumon to Kari, I guess, if I had the option, just to mean that every sovereign is in an evolution line here. It does mean that Angemon just gets nothing from the sovereigns, but it is what it is. But I guess you could give Fang Longmon to Angemon, kind of matching up with it eventually becoming Godramon in Digimon Adventure 2020. That's an idea. But speaking of golden Digimon, we're gonna end, of course, as I said, on Willis's partner, Gargomon. What to give the dog rabbit thing with jorts and guns as a crest evolution of Destiny. Yeah, let's not forget that Terriamon used the golden armor Digi-Egg of Destiny. So while Willis has never been assigned the crest of Destiny because it doesn't maybe exist, that's probably what he would get. And honestly, the line from Digimon Tamers makes a lot of sense to me. If the Digi-Egg of Destiny resulted in a golden Rapidmon of power level equivalent to Mega, perhaps that same data would reform for a conventional crest evolution into normal Rapidmon and then Mega Gargomon, meaning that Willis finally gets the evolutions of Terriamon that we wouldn't see until Digimon Tamers with Henry. It's kind of a cool callback. It's almost like it's his destiny or his fate. Now, yes, it does lack golden elements, and that is something that's a little bit annoying, but honestly, I just don't think there's any other golden Digimon that really line up super well with this kind of like dog evolution line. In addition to that, it's not like crest color lines up one-to-one with every evolution anyway. Like, yeah, I guess where Garurumon is blue and Garudamon is, it's not really pink, is it? Like, yeah, yeah, I guess it kind of does throughout the evolutions, but like, Zudomon's not just grey, you know? They all have different elements. I just think it makes the most sense, and it would be a very nice full circle moment. But if you do have a golden evolution line for Gargomon, let me know in the comments down below. Oh, but that's right! Willis is unique, isn't he? Because he has 2 Digimon partners. He also has a Lopmon that was unfortunately corrupted and never got to Golden Armor Digivolve in that movie. However, recently we were gifted with a brand new Rabbit Digimon, which just makes all the sense in the world for me to add to this evolution line. But to get there, we need a bridging gap, and that is why I'm going to have Lopmon become, of course, Teruimon, its non-corrupted champion, and then use the Crest of Destiny to become Cressamon. It's literally a crescent moon design. There is some yellowy gold in the design. It's a Rabbit Digimon, not super golden, but that's okay. I'm sure you'll forgive me because the Mega will be the brand new Digimon from Digimon New Century, the Golden Moon Rabbit, Jogamon. Oh, that's so good. I love it. And that is it. What evolution lines might look like if the Digimon Adventure 02 cast used the crests of the Armor Digi-Eggs they were assigned. Aquilamon with the Crest of Love going to Butenmon and Zuchaomon or Chronomon Holy Mode, with the Crest of Sincerity becoming Teropiamon and Ceresmon, Ankylomon with the Crest of Reliability becoming Brachiomon and Aegistramon or Ebonwimon, and with the Crest of Knowledge becoming Proganomon, then Breakdramon or Ebonwimon again, ExVeemon with the Crest of Courage becoming Megadramon and Victory Greymon, and with the Crest of Friendship becoming either Tylinmon and Azulongmon, also Lugamon and Fenrir Lugamon, but shoutouts to Footmon and Achillesmon too, and with the Crest of Miracles becoming Doramon and Zeke Greymon, or indeed Fanglongmon, Stingmon with the Crest of Kindness becoming Jewel Beamon, and I'm going to settle on Bloom Lordmon, but of course Flowers to Bancho Stingmon, Gargomon with the Crest of Destiny becoming regular old Rapidmon and Mega Gargomon, and finally Teruimon becoming Cressamon and Jogamon. Plus I would probably give Gatomon the alternate Mega of Baihumon and maybe Angemon the alternate Mega of Fanglongmon instead of giving it to ExVeemon. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you to my sovereign level patrons over on patreon.com/Karn EX, ZDK14 and Ram McGrayfire. You guys are amazing. Very appropriate video for you to be patrons on. And thank you to everyone else over there on Patreon. You are really the best. And to my YouTube channel members here on YouTube. And I will see you next time when we go digital. Bye bye.